Bum, 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 ba-da, da, da, da.
First of all, I'm happy to get people water, but what does that mean? That's the producer's job. It's my job to give everybody water, bring water up here.
Well, it's nobody's job to give everybody water, but it's definitely
Okay.
not the sound engineer's job.
No, I was never suggesting that it was.
Yeah. So the producer would normally, in a
Bring-
small outfit, make sure there was water.
Okay.
Normally,
No, the thing is, the studio, they keep water up here. I just mean like giving it.
it's self-serve.
Just
Okay.
giving it to them, I mean.
Okay. Would you
but
like some
Nikki, I would
water?
appreciate it if you could make me coffee.
Yeah, of course. Just send me your order before the show.
Mr. Grant.
You could take that joke a step further, but we're not going there.
Easy. This is not 1975, Lewis.
You guys are going to start.
This is Live from the Table, recorded at the world-famous Comedy Cellar, coming at you on Sirius XM 99 Raw Dog, and on the Laugh Button Podcast Network. Dan Naturman here. And with me, Noam Dworman, the owner, the proprietor of the world-famous Comedy Cellar.
Hello, Daniel.
He didn't set out to be a comedy club owner, and yet he became the most successful one in the world. But that's a story for another day. We have Periel Aschenbrand with us, our producer. But again, Noam has an issue with that title. She doesn't feel that Periel is a producer. In reality, he's not convinced that she's actually producing anything. But that rather she just books guests and gets water. Lewis Schaffer is with us.
She doesn't even get water, right?
No, I don't know. A very special guest, Lewis Schaffer, a legend, a Comedy Cellar legend. Lewis Schaffer, yay!
Hey, yay.
He's been on the show before, but I don't think he's been on in person before.
No, I was in person. The last I was here 5 years
Yeah, last time you were in town.
That's
Yeah.
a long time ago.
I
Then
didn't
he
make a good impression back then. But
Talk closer to the mic, Lewis.
I did make a good impression.
We'll probably
but I didn't
repeat
make-
some of the same stories. They bear repeating.
Yeah.
Louis Schaffer he lives in England now. He works at Nunhead American Radio, which is
You call it working.
and on the Resonance FM out of London.
Yes.
And a commentator on GB News TV in Britain. What's GB News TV in Britain?
GB News is like the new Fox Broadcasting. It's an actual thing. It's a right wing, basically, but they try to be more moderate. It's a right wing thing.
But you're a pretty right-wing guy.
I have become writer and writer and writer of the wing.
But I don't want to get.
You always were more than I was.
I would say this: whatever can get a laugh, I would get. If people believe something, I'm going to say that they're wrong. I'm a contrarian with a baseline. I don't know if I'm right wing. I don't know. I don't believe in the COVID. Sorry, I don't believe in the COVID.
Oh my God, what, are you crazy?
Yeah, I don't believe in COVID. I'll tell you, go step back.
What do you mean you don't believe in COVID?
You said you had it twice.
I said I had what they would diagnose as COVID. What they would diagnose as COVID.
What would you diagnose it as?
I would diagnose it as a bit of natural group hysteria. That's what I would think it was.
Check, please.
I read it to Greg Rugel on the way here. I told him this, and he said, "Oh, you're right wing." I didn't say anything about anything. He said, "Oh, I tell you something. I believe."
But even right-wing people like Governor DeSantis doesn't believe it's a fraud. He just believes that we overreact to it in some way, and he's in retrospect, which is the key, he might be correct in certain ways, certain things that we did, but very few people say that it doesn't exist. I mean, they can identify. There's a test that shows up positive or negative for it.
that
You can't test for hysteria.
That test is based on DNA testing that was done like 20 years
Well,
ago.
just to put this in perspective, Louis Schaffer also believes the Earth is how old, Louis? 300 million
I
years
don't
old.
believe the Earth is. I believe the Earth is basically in its form is only a few thousand years old.
Look at Noam's expression on his face.
Well, you know what I'm thinking about, and
Yeah.
this is such a profound lesson, and it's very hard for me to learn. I don't think I can ever learn it or internalize it. Lewis is a very bright guy. If you were to give him an IQ test, he would definitely score in the top 10%
Sure,
at least.
wouldn't be off the charts, but it would be
No, it
respectable.
could be higher. It could be top 5%, not top 1%, maybe, but maybe. No. I remember years ago, Lewis. We were talking about like geography of New York, and Lewis drew me on the table a perfect map of Manhattan Island going into the Bronx, where the bridges were, the shape of them. I mean, this was like, I remember when, just as a digression, when Bill Clinton was negotiating with the Arabs and the Jews, Clinton drew maps of the West Bank, and people were talking about, like, oh my God, this guy's a genius. He's drawing these maps. Lewis Schaffer did that, and he wasn't even preparing for a meeting. So the guy's very, very bright. So my point is that very, very, very bright people
Can be.
can be totally out to lunch on some stuff, and
Of course.
and they ingeniously know how to bob and weave, so you can't pin them down.
Oh, you
but
can pin me down.
but I mean,
Beautiful.
Lewis, this is crazy talk.
I'd go even further than this.
Please do.
I am 96% sure that I do not believe in viruses as a causal agent of many diseases. I'm not sure about all diseases, but AIDS, I don't believe in AIDS.
So how do the AIDS drugs work?
The AIDS drugs a lot of those AIDS drugs don't work. I mean, the reason why people died so much with can we not discuss this? I'll discuss it. With AIDS, okay, is the reason people died so much back in the day is they started to give people AZT, which killed people.
Okay,
it was
maybe some. I don't think about that. I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
But now today,
Yeah.
people live with AIDS when they used to die, and that's the difference. Is the drugs? No, people who don't take the drugs continue to die.
No, because there is no such thing as AIDS, which is the idea of something tiny going into someone's body, destroying their immune
Usually the
system.
butt. But that's I'm kidding. That's how you
Yeah.
that's how you bob and weave. I mean, obviously, I know. I mean, it's a try. I made a flippant joke. I'm sorry, but I know so many people who died of AIDS. I mean, like so many people who were dear to me. Like,
Yeah.
how can you say it's not
And
true?
so do I. That doesn't mean they didn't die. That doesn't mean they didn't die horrible deaths, and we should feel sorry for them and love those people. I'm the same age as you. I mean, I'm older than you. I'm the same age. I remember all these people who died.
So what did they die of?
They died of there was a hysteria at the time, which told people they were going to die. Number one, they said, "You've got AIDS. You're going to die."
What about Kaposi sarcoma all over their faces?
Kaposi sarcoma. There's something called this is a comedy show, but
Well-
Oh, this is funny.
but Kaposi's. Can I say thank you for calling me really intelligent? And I don't agree with you, but I'll say thank you. I'll say thank you. Is that Kaposi sarcoma it's called Terrain syndrome, which is the opposite of germ syndrome, which is people under stress, people who are being malnourished, people who are living horrible lives. Bad things happen to their bodies. They break out in rashes. They break out in ulcers. And then what they do is they look at the ulcer and they say, "Oh, this is a virus that's in the ulcer. It must have caused it." When the truth is, they were just unhealthy.
Can you say something that they would allow on Twitter, please? Can you say one thing that?
Well,
would make
I would like to, even though we've done this before, I would like to just give a brief history of Lewis Schaffer's association with the comedy.
But your wife left you, right?
Yeah,
I have no idea
everybody
why.
left
Go
me.
ahead.
Everybody, your father left me too. And-
Lewis
wait,
Schaffer, and
can I just say this, Dad?
Go ahead.
Is that whatever I say, it's no taking away from the humanity of the people who have suffered during the COVID.
Oh, I get it. I'm not taking it that way.
Okay, I don't want people listening and thinking, "Oh, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about AIDS."
So let it be said that Lewis Schaffer might be a nutter, but he's not without empathy.
Exactly.
Lewis Schaffer.
Thank you, Dan.
Lewis Schaffer was my first friend in comedy. My first friend in stand-up comedy.
I love that.
Warts and all, I
Is that
accept
why we keep
him.
having him on?
Yes, because
That's not even a joke. We know that.
and then he came to the Comedy Cellar, and he started on his own initiative bringing people into the Comedy Cellar. He would go on the street and harass people and bring them in. Hey, beautiful people, come to the Comedy Cellar. We got a great show. Nobody asked him to do this. He just started doing it because he's a little, he's out there. And he would bring people in. And your father, Manny, at the time, the Comedy Cellar wasn't what it is today. There were literally sometimes completely empty rooms, sometimes half full. So Lewis Schaffer, him bringing people in from off the street was a very necessary thing.
He turned the club around. My father always said so. Louis Schaffer turned the club around.
But it was something that could be turned around. It was a ship in the water. It had everything. It had everything, and it would have turned around. I hate to say this, but it would have turned around eventually.
Maybe not.
It was.
Well, I think so.
You don't know
No,
that.
of course I don't know that for sure. But anyway, Lewis Schaffer became so valuable that Manny let him MC every show during the week, and in between. And in between emceeing, he'd go on stage, he'd do his shtick, he'd bring up the comics, and he'd run outside and go, "Beautiful people, we got a beautiful show. Come in, beautiful black man." Now he would go to black people and say, "Beautiful black man, you're so chocolatey black man."
Now he doesn't believe in race, but go ahead.
Well, wait. We'll get to that later.
And he would, and his whole shtick was that he wasn't gay, but was he gay? I'm not gay, but make me an offer. But he was so annoying ultimately that Manny had to get rid of him.
It went to his head, but Lewis has acknowledged that and apologized and done a mea culpa.
Yeah, it went to my head. It didn't. I tell you what I thought. I thought I wasn't like your father said to me. He said everyone is replaceable, even me. He said that. All right, and that's what I thought. I thought I wasn't replaceable. It's the same thing. It's like my thinking about these AIDS thing or COVID thing. I just get in my head, and this is what I'm thinking. And sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm too right.
Now, I'm going to tell my kids, and among the various wisdom I'm going to leave them with, that when your boss says to you that everyone's replaceable, it's probably time to pull back. That's probably a hint that you're not long for this job.
Well,
that's probably there's a message there.
Well, Paul McCartney wasn't replaceable.
Pete Best was.
Pete Best was.
Pete Best was.
And maybe Ringo was, arguably.
No,
you don't think without Ringo they
George was probably replaceable.
Yeah, George was. But the point is...
Maybe.
I said it to when my wife said to me, "I'm divorcing you," I didn't really believe her, really.
But so Lewis Schaffer, he got a job around the corner at the other comedy club, which was called the Boston Comedy Club, even though it was located in New York, which some people find amusing. And he met a woman... And after 3 months, you barely knew this woman, and you decided, I'm going to get married and move to England.
Well, you know what?
Well, what possessed you to get married to a woman you barely knew and move to England?
Because I was one of those people. Most comedians are trying to get, they're trying to get a girl through comedy, and I'm one of those people who couldn't get a girl through comedy. I didn't know, and she had sex with me the first night that I met her, and I thought she loved me, and I didn't realize what English women were.
Saying English women are whores? Is that what you're trying to say?
My kids might listen to this.
Girls have sex on the first night. It's not.
I'm old school. I'm like 90 years old. You know what I mean? I'm old school. I don't know. I just thought she loved me, and I just thought she promised to give me money in Britain, and I needed a plan B. I was at the Boston Comedy Club, and I didn't know where to go. We were doing okay there, but I didn't know where to go next.
Well, that is interesting because he was not able to turn the Boston Comedy Club around.
That's not true.
You did turn it around?
Yes, it was quite busy. It was we added 3 shows. We weren't successful. I remember, was I here the last time I told the story about how your father used to drive by on the way from Ardsley. He would drive by down West 3rd Street, next to the Boston Comedy Club, and I'd be outside, hustling for customers, and he'd say to me, Lewis, look, I've gotten a new car. It's a Lexus. And he'd drive on. And then the next time he came by, he says, Lewis, we've added a 3rd show on Saturday. And then he would drive by. They said, Lewis, do you know who was here last night at the Comedy Cellar? Jerry Seinfeld. And I thought to myself, Jews do drive-by gloatings.
My father was so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, while we're telling stories, because I've told the story before, but I never get used to it. When he was dying of, I don't know if you've heard it, when he was dying of cancer, he went to get radiation treatment. And radiation treatment is in. I don't know if you believe in that or not, but anyway.
I don't believe in cancer. I don't believe in it. I don't. But why would you do something that causes cancer? With cancer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. So.
And it makes your last days miserable.
So the radiation is in the basement of the hospital.
Yeah.
And so you take the radiation. Apparently it takes a lot out of you. So after the radiation, he was like this, slumped over in the wheelchair, barely conscious. And we wheel him out, and we're in an elevator, and there's 2 women, Muslim women with burqas on. And my father somehow he looks up, and he looks at the 2 women with burqas. And then he turns to me and he goes, "Where are the other 70?" I mean, you can't, he did that.
Yeah. Right
Passed
there.
out from radiation.
Yeah. Your father
First class joke.
Your father
Where are the
was
other
very
70,
funny.
And I mean, this was, and then immediately slumped over again. This was a real talent.
Yeah. And he died very young. He was young.
Relatively young.
Well,
He's 72.
72. Which, well, if I were 20, I would have said he had a
Well,
he had a long life. But as you get older, you realize it's not
It's
that long.
earlier than life expectancy would be for a 70-year-old. You know, your life expectancy
Yeah.
always
Always it goes off into the future.
goes into the future as you get to a certain age.
Yeah.
You know, with the average age of a man is like 70.
Well, he was doing very. Look, he was in good. Like up until the last 3 months, he was in good shape,
He was very good shape, yeah. And then he just
and so nobody would have expected it.
Well, what was his diet? Let's talk there.
bad diet.
No, you tell me what was a bad diet, because sometimes I think a bad diet could be a good
Alcohol and beef.
diet. No, that's half a bad diet. So it's the alcohol. Did he smoke cigarettes back in the day?
He smoked a lot when he was younger. Then he smoked weed when he was older. So I don't know.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, but the alcohol is the thing. Alcohol.
No, he wasn't a heavy drinker, but he
But alcohol. But whatever it is. So what else was it?
it was probably the smoking when he was young. He had
Also,
lung
sometimes cancer gets you. And again, maybe Lewis Schaffer disagrees, but sometimes cancer will get you despite your best efforts.
You know what? That's what they're selling us on. No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe it. I think that there are four things that we have to watch out for, which is the food that we're eating, getting enough sun, reducing stress, and sleep. Those are the main things. And yeah, you can get it. Let's say you got all those things. You might be.
I agree with all those things.
Yeah, you might be nutritionally deficient. You've not enough magnesium or whatever.
Well, you might agree with the notion that we need to watch what we eat, but you probably disagree with Lewis's particular diet.
Are you saying, Lewis, that you don't believe cigarettes cause lung cancer?
I do believe that. No, I do believe that they cause lung cancer.
What
do-
am I,
And
an
I do
idiot?
believe that. I do believe that, and I believe I believe alcohol is very bad for you. But I also think
At all, or even in very
Was there
like,
alcohol involved in that woman sleeping with you on her first date?
Of course there was. She's English.
like any alcohol, or you're saying like in moderation these things are okay?
No, any alcohol is bad for
A
you.
glass of wine, they say, might be good for you.
because
Well,
it
we
has-
didn't bring Lewis Schaffer on to discuss things that he
That's the only thing
he
that I
has
care
no
about.
no competence on.
Okay,
Why
go
do you
ahead.
say that?
I mean, we
Dan?
could talk about space exploration too, but
The problem is
I bring
Dan,
Lewis Schaffer on to talk about Lewis Schaffer.
Go ahead.
And you have to start
with diet. That's the
No,
only
no,
thing.
no. I never see Dan laugh so hard to the point where he is almost crying, where he has told now, I've heard it at least
Well,
twice, the Lewis Schaffer story.
All right, you
And
mean
the Rick
the
Chrome
Rick,
song.
All right, the Rick Chrome song story, which I've probably told before, but I'll do it again. Is Rick Chrome, our own Rick Chrome, very talented comedian / songwriter, whatever. He wrote a theme song for Lewis Schaffer when Lewis Schaffer was the MC here. There was actually an opening theme song when Lewis came on the stage, and a closing theme song when Lewis got off the stage. So the opening theme song was like, well, they were similar, I guess, but it was like Lewis Schaffer, let's all give a cheer. Clear the way for Lewis Schaffer. Lewis Schaffer's here. And then the closing theme song was
Something about Let the Love Flow?
Yeah. Lewis, he's not really gay.
yeah, because
What-
his whole
what is-
act was how he wasn't gay with a wink and a nod.
Yeah.
Turns out he really wasn't gay, as far as we know. But anyway,
Well, too early to tell.
so there was one time where Lewis Schaffer, he's on the stage and he's bombing like
Which was his want.
horrifically.
Want.
But more so than usual. He's just, they hated him. They detested him. And then after his set, they cue the song. Because that was the standing, they do the song. So after he finishes annoying them for 10 minutes, you hear, da-da-da-da-da-da, hey, let the love flow. And it's long. And Esty comes down. I've never heard Esty this frantic before. He goes, turn it off! Turn it off!
Essie hated Lewis.
Hated me. She still hates me. I saw her the other day. She hates me.
Essie does not forgive.
She doesn't forgive. Oh my God, she's like a Palestinian. She's a Palestinian relating to Israel.
So anyway,
Now, Rick Rome. Can I just say something? Rick Rome this is typical of Lewis Schaffer. Ungrateful, I basically stopped him from working for a bit while I was doing my thing, and he wrote a song for me. He's the loveliest guy in the world. It's just, I think what's happened is I've reached the age of 65. I look amazing, and I realize I am psychologically deficient. You know what I mean? It's like,
Do you have you go to therapy?
I don't go to therapy. What I do is I take online computer tests which tell me that I'm like 99. I'm the highest percentage narcissistic, the highest percentage psychopathic, the highest percentage paranoid. I've got like a million.
Let's take them one at a time. You're narcissist. Now, do you have good relations with your kids?
I do.
No, you don't.
I do. No,
You took too
I mean,
long.
I really wish the kids were here. They're downstairs
The
eating.
kids are downstairs. They seem to be
Oh,
very
but-
fond
I mean,
of you.
but usually narcissists are not able to maintain good relationships with their children.
I'll tell you what I think it is. I think I'm a narcissist. And so when I take these tests, I think I'm all these horrible things that I am, right? When in reality, I'm not as bad as I think that I am.
Well, you named your kids Carnegie and Columbus,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you necessarily were thinking of them at the time.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, the name Columbus is now, you might as well have named him Hitler or something. I mean, Columbus is not like public enemy number one.
He
It's
didn't
like-
know that at the time.
I didn't know that.
This was
God,
like-
but it was only 20 years ago. I should have
Yeah.
known. should have known.
And the other kid is Carnegie, who was a steel baron, which I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as bad as Columbus. But anyway,
He's a library in most places. That's what he is.
They
So-
seem very, very
So-
sweet and well-adjusted, frankly.
they do. If you're going to judge a man by his children,
I mean,
Then-
they called
then you have
Trump. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
then you have to give Lewis some credit. Now, Lewis,
Yeah, I am. I mean, they just called Trump a narcissist, convincingly called Trump a narcissist. But when I did some research at the time into what are the actual symptoms of narcissism, one of the things it says that they very rarely are able to have good relationships with their children. And so it was interesting to me that Trump actually, except for Tiffany, who knows what's up with that, seems to have a lot of loyalty from his children,
Yeah.
which, I mean, cynical people say, oh, because it's money, blah, blah, blah. But it's not that easy, it makes me think that there's some side of him which is we don't understand. For instance, Ronald Reagan did not have good relationships with his children.
No.
No. Even,
and Lewis's children, he brought them to America because they've literally never seen the country. Columbus was here when he was very little. Carnegie's never been here, and so Lewis brought them here to see. And you brought them. How did it go today with your sister Emily? You saw them. This is the first time they've met their Aunt Emily, and I bring this up because Lewis and Emily, I think, are
I mean,
estranged.
his sisters, we're not really estranged, but it's.
But when was the last time you spoke to your sister before arranging for this
I
mean?
don't really speak to my sister that much. I mean, she's my
now,
sister.
would she call you a narcissist?
I tell you, I speak to my sister so infrequently. She might. I wouldn't call myself a narcissist. I would call myself a person who thinks they're a narcissist. What kind of person? That's another category of what kind of person thinks they're a narcissist. I think that I'm paranoid. I think I'm all the crazy.
Well, you're not normal. There's no doubt there.
What are you paranoid about?
That's coming from Dan.
Yeah, I'm paranoid that people are. They're not that they're out to get me, but they hate me. They hate me.
No.
I don't even know. Can we change the subject?
I don't think people hate you. I mean,
Yeah.
I never knew anybody hated you. You really irked my father, but he never hated you.
Yeah.
But Esty did.
Okay, but Essie hated him because he was.
Because I usurped her responsibility.
Well, and you did it without any attempt to be diplomatic or to put her at ease.
Right. And I did. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't have any of the social graces that I need to have. I think.
But you seem to be willing to take responsibility and you seem sort of apologetic about
It's all part of this kind of act.
No, I think no. That's not. No.
When
it
you
isn't.
talk that way, it kind of like it's diabolical.
It could be. It could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you know what? No, I actually do believe it. But is that going to mean I'm going to not have?
He's quite aware that he can soften it by pretending to be introspective to people, but actually, it's all part of the narcissism.
I don't agree with that. No, I do not agree with that. I think that is one thing that people could do, and you could perceive me as doing this. I actually, if I had to go, listen, between you and me and Esty, I mean that, I'd like Esty to like me for the sake of coming back to the place here, to being welcomed at least. Forget about this place exists. I don't want anybody hating me. I think that's true.
I don't hate you. My father doesn't hate you. Essie doesn't hate you.
No,
She resents you.
She resents me. I don't like the idea that I'm in a room with somebody who doesn't like me, whoever it is.
Well, look, I mean, I wish that not everybody is able to let bygones be bygones, and the flip side of Esty not letting bygones be bygones, which is hard for her,
Yeah.
is that she's fiercely loyal.
Yeah.
I mean, as a boss, when I contemplate, the people working, whatever it is, Esty is beyond question.
Yeah.
Bleeds not just Comedy Cellar, but Dworman really loyalty.
Yeah.
And you made her uneasy, and that was a dark period for her.
Yes, which is wrong. Okay.
And she can't, and she, it's visceral to her. She still
Well,
remembers.
we're talking about this, but I don't think anybody's
So
said exactly what Lewis did.
As Lewis was so lauded for turning the place around, and my father was gushing around him, whatever it is. Esty felt, I don't know this, but I think that Lewis might have designs at replacing her.
Yeah, which
Now-
was not the case.
Well, I don't know, but Esty should have known, but it's she probably knew it intellectually, but it's so hard. My father would have never in a million years done that, no matter whatever, no matter what that.
Right.
That was just not. When my father was sick in the hospital, like one of the last sentences he said was to make sure I look after Esty. He did not Lewis.
Yeah.
But people get paranoid or worry.
Yes, this is the point I'm making. Back to me. I don't want people to dislike me. I would say that that's true. It's not a
Nobody
me.
wants anybody just like them.
No, but I don't want Esty to look at me and to say I don't like the idea that I made Esty uncomfortable. My job in this world is to bring love. I ran into Greg Rogel out in the street, and I said to him, he spoke about COVID. I said I don't believe in COVID, and he got all upset. He got all upset with me, and he walked away.
It's hard to get Rogel upset.
Yeah.
Is it real? Is that true? I
And
don't
he's
know.
being sarcastic.
Well, whatever. He got all upset.
But in this case, I don't blame him for getting upset. I wouldn't get upset, but it's kind of absurd.
Yeah, it's absurd, but he got upset. He said, "You know what? You're like a Trump or whatever it is," and the answer is, I'm not even talking to you over this. And so I had feelings.
But you know
Are you
that.
vaccinated?
No.
But that's an inflammatory thing to say. I mean, that's going to rile people up.
Well,
That's all right. He can say what he wants.
No, of course. But to then be, surprised that somebody's going to get upset, seems.
Well, first of all, it's Lewis Schaffer, and you got to understand that it's just crazy old Lewis Schaffer.
yeah, it's because
How would you be upset by what Lewis Schaffer is saying?
because it's on my mind. On my mind is COVID. You mentioned COVID. I'm going to think about COVID. I'm not vaccinated. I'm not.
Lewis Schaffer.
Should I not be here if I'm not vaccinated?
It doesn't matter anymore. The variants go right through the vaccine.
Unless Nicole has an issue with it, but
I mean, you should worry because you could die, but I don't think it matters anymore in terms of protecting against
Lewis
infection.
Schaffer. Now, you moved to England. You had 2 sons, and you kind of had to stay in England because you had your sons. But your sons are now grown men, beautiful men,
Boys. Yeah.
not gay.
Not gay.
You don't have to be in England anymore. You can come back to the land of your birth, the land that you love.
I could do it maybe more often. I could do it. I'm doing quite well there in a weird kind of way because I'm making films. I'm in films.
Well, he's
Now,
doing background work.
What was this fantastic show? You found a bunch of letters from your mother. What was it?
That was the thing. My mother, when I moved there, my mother was writing me lonely letters. I miss you and it was like just too much. I couldn't do anything about it because I was battling with the mother of my children, and we had 2 kids. It was one of the worst times I'd ever been through, ever. It was like it was if you list the 10 things that causes stress in life, that causes death, I had like 9 of them.
Okay, so what happened with the letters? You did a show based
So I
on
did a show. So my mother wrote letters. I never opened the letters. I couldn't deal with it.
Every night he would open a letter that his mother sent him on
And then
stage.
so in Edinburgh,
Brilliant.
if you've ever gone, you should go to the Edinburgh Festival. It's the most amazing comedy experience. People do shows. They do hour shows, and a different show every year. And there are 22 shows in the month, and I would read a different letter, and then just talk about this letter. Some of them had like, your father. He's a horrible man. And then she included a picture of a knife. Then one time she sent me a letter that was meant for her rabbi, like a 6-page letter for her.
Sent it to the wrong person.
Sent it to the wrong person, and it was brilliant. This is what I'm trying to do in my comedy life. I'm trying to do something different every single year, every single different time, and that's.
Albert, you gotta take the cajon too, okay? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go
I
ahead.
think if I'd stayed here,
Yeah.
I would have been doing the same thing. I would be perfecting.
Would
the
you
same-
still be the not gay guy?
I wouldn't be the not gay guy. I'm not the not gay guy in London.
Right, but you told me you weren't that you don't think that the Not Gay Act would have worked in London.
It wouldn't have worked.
Let me just give you an example of one of Lewis's jokes so you understand what I mean by the not gay guy. Because it was not gay with a wink and a nod. He would say, like, I'm not gay, I want to be gay. You know why? Men. that was probably...
Right.
Yeah. So, that's his whole thing. Is he gay? Is he not gay?
I mean, it's brilliant because it's like with the COVID thing, whatever I believe. Does he really believe in a virus not being a virus? Does he really not believe in it? Does he really believe in
But you went to England and you used to abandon the not gay thing.
Because in English people they're not religious people. In this country, the gay thing, I don't know how it would be even now, but the gay thing 20 years ago was like, ooh, it was like tickly. It was tickly to people. There, they didn't care. And also they saw it as kind of some kind of attack on gay. They didn't see it as an attack, but it was like the same thing with racial jokes in Britain. They don't, there's no, if you point somebody out for being different, they don't want to know that they're different. People don't want to be different. They want to be whatever, I'm the same as you. Everybody wants to be the same as you.
That's healthy.
It's different. It's a bit boring because people are different.
What about Jews? They like a good Jewish joke, right?
They like a good Jewish joke in context of like, these are Jewish jokes. There's like comedians who go on and they have like entire shows where they just tell Jewish jokes. Their audience is prepared to hear Jewish
Do you
jokes.
think, Noam, that in 2022, Lewis's not gay act would have the same resonance? Or would people immediately feel uneasy because he's anytime you talk about being gay or not being gay, part of the gag is that like there was almost, in a way, it was, I want to say homophobic, but the idea that you're using being gay as a punchline and like something maybe that's,
Well, I mean,
not gay, but sir, meet me in the bathroom. These were his jokes. You
I'm
know?
going to say the obvious. Harrison Greenbaum stole his act.
He did not.
He's been, I mean, not literally, but he's basically, and I don't mean he stole it, but he's basically been doing the Harrison Greenbaum not gay thing for a while, and it does work because now Lewis.
No, but it's very, very different because Harrison doesn't do that kind of material where he says he's not gay and then says something where he's completely gay.
No,
like,
but-
I'm not
but-
gay, sir. I'll see you in the bathroom after the show.
But he doesn't do that. But his gimmick, well, not his gimmick, but he for a while. I haven't seen his act in a while, but for a while he was doing his basically playing off the fact that he was perceived as probably being gay.
Well, in that sense,
and he
it's
wasn't.
similar.
Now Lewis, I was gonna say, Lewis has blossomed into a more masculine aura.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would work simply because he just doesn't like
He doesn't seem as gay anymore.
He doesn't
Yeah.
seem as gay. You know, he had the
Right.
blazer and he really seemed gay.
Yeah.
My father was convinced he was gay.
Yeah.
My father died.
Convinced his
Convinced that
last
Lewis was
words.
gay.
His last words, Lewis Schaffer.
Is Lewis Schaffer gay?
No, it wasn't. It was a little more bawdy than that, but Lewis.
But the other thing is especially to the younger generation, is nobody really cares that much if you're gay or not gay anymore.
oh, they care.
No, it's much more fluid.
They don't care in the sense that they don't like them, but
No. They don't care. Is that
But
way?
it's the idea of a guy that seems gay but is denying he's gay is still kind of
yeah,
funny.
that's very funny. That's
it
very,
was-
very funny.
Like what I thought was funny about it was it was folded. It was like
Yeah.
not gay, folded, not gay. The audience is like their brain has exploded. I hope when it worked and when I was getting better at it. I wasn't a comedian for very long at the time. I'd only started.
You didn't start with the not gay act. You started with a regular act.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I didn't say this, and I morphed into it. Anyway, the point
Because
is,
people were telling you, Lewis, you're gay.
it was funny. It was funny. But because I've gotten more, because I had 2 kids and I've gotten more masculine in a weird kind of way, is that if I have to like pretend that I'm gay in order for that to work, do I have to like shave extra hard? Do I have to flounce around?
And I guess we shouldn't imply that gay men are not masculine. I mean, this is a minefield, but.
But
Now, let's get to the retrograde ejaculation.
oh God.
So this is a real phenomenon.
what is that?
Well, it's they ejaculate backwards into their kidneys or something. I don't know, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't. Done,
Why are we bringing that up with Lewis Schaffer?
Why are
has
you
it.
interested?
Oh, Louis Schaffer, you have that, or you're just joking?
He believes in that.
I believe in. I don't even believe in that because I do. It's probably what I have. I don't know. I mean, it's been.
You mean it's not coming out?
Is there like a sucking sound?
No. Here's what happened to me. I was very unhealthy 5 years ago, and I changed my diet completely. And I stopped eating all vegetables, all grains, all.
You stopped eating.
He's doing the
stopped
opposite
eating.
of what they tell you to do.
I'm doing basically what Jordan Peterson.
And eating all red meat, pretty much.
I'm eating red meat. I eat a pound and a half of red meat a day. I eat 5 to 8 to 10 eggs a day. I eat fish, and I drink milk, and I have cheese, and I don't eat any vegetables. And ever since that happened, that's why I think I look pretty good for a man my age, because of that. And all the problems that I had went away, and some.
You still have very high blood pressure.
I still have high blood pressure, but that's a symptom.
But Lewis Schaffer doesn't believe in high. He believes in high blood pressure, but he doesn't think it's an issue. Why?
It's not a disease, high blood pressure. It's either a symptom or it's a mitigating factor for other things.
So everything got better except you developed this retrograde ejaculation.
Including rock hard. I am now rock hard.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
As we speak, you're rock hard. And you get rock hard.
I don't want to say because Periel and I have just met for the first time, but and she's a married woman. Dan, looking at Dad getting rock hard. So I'm rock hard, and it doesn't quite work. The other thing, it's not quite as juicy. Why are you talking?
Did you not used to get rock hard?
I did not. No, there was a time I did not get as rock hard as I do now. And now, eating a all meat diet, my testosterone levels are high, and I'm rock hard.
But you can't come? Well, I mean, let's just call a spade
Call
a spade. What is this dance
I
you guys are doing?
can
Say
come. I can come, but it's not.
I don't think anybody was being ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were like.
She just wanted to say come.
No.
Yeah, we were not
We
being
said
ambiguous.
ejaculate, retrograde.
We're not being ambiguous. Perry.
We're not, what it is with me. Okay,
Nobody was
I'll say-
trying to hide what
I
we
haven't
were
had a
saying.
chance to work on any of the jokes. Maybe Dan and I can work on some jokes that go with this thing, but
Oh, I know it. When you come, it goes into your bladder, and then you pee it out.
and then you pee it out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but it doesn't only stuff comes out. It's just not quite the porn star ejaculation that women
You don't
love.
get a full helping.
No, you don't
That,
get a
that we've
full-
been trained to believe women enjoy.
to believe.
Oh, they'll enjoy it.
Believe, but I do come very, and I do have a very rock hard.
Well, this is a
You
bit.
take Viagra? Ever take any of those pills?
In the past, I took some Viagra, and I
This is
don't need
disturbing.
it
You
now.
believe in Viagra?
Viagra increases the nitrous oxide. I believe in chemicals. Chemicals do things to the body.
Okay.
I'm not totally.
Lewis, are you
Just
still
checking
taking your
what
blood?
you-
Are you still taking your blood pressure meds, or you've abandoned your?
I've
blood?
abandoned my blood. I might take them again. I don't know. It's the problem is listen
Look,
to me, Noam.
We just want to make clear that we believe that high blood pressure is a bad thing,
Yeah.
and people should be taking their blood pressure medication as directed.
But I will also say this, and remember, I'm not a doctor for the people out there. I'm not a comedian either with this kind of show. But
You're just a rock hard regular guy.
I am so. You could ask Periel. She just met me. I'm a vigorous, handsome, older man. Here's the point about high blood pressure. High blood pressure isn't a disease. Okay, what high blood pressure is, it is a symptom of other problems that we have. It is possible to be healthy and have super high blood pressure. So it's not a causal thing. It's associated with people doing all sorts of bad things happening to them. But I have high blood pressure, but a theory that I prescribe to is I've got extremely low heart rate, like athlete heart rate. It's considered actually a problem. I've had it been investigated. My heart rate is under 50 consistently. Okay, so I've got high blood pressure of 160, but so together those two numbers mean, in my mind, it might be a problem, but because I don't trust doctors, I don't think they know what the hell they're doing, I need to be proven wrong.
So Lewis Schaffer believes because he believes his low pulse offsets his high blood pressure, which I don't believe is remotely valid.
Well, you can Google that. It's called a double product. If anybody's listening to this, it's called a double product. It's been disproven and also slightly proven. And what happens is with most people, do you know what your blood pressure is?
I don't know.
No.
110, 120. It's normal.
Whatever it is. But like most people who have high blood pressure, they go take pills and they lower their blood pressure, but their heart rate is high. So if you've got a heart rate that's, let's say, 80 beats a minute, and you go to the doctor won't say that that's a problem because it's within the range between 60 and 100.
Where are you in phrenology?
When you see people, I'll answer it seriously.
I have a sense that you would have an opinion on this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's happened today with the shape of people's skulls is because people they're mouth breathers, which is one of the worst things you can do. You're breathing air through the lungs. It's not getting filtered by the nose. It's not, your nose regulates your blood pressure. It's basically, when you breathe through the mouth, you're telling the body it's an emergency, like when you're running.
Okay, phrenology.
So a person, it's not exactly the shape of the people's skulls, but it is a shape of their jawline. Is that what happens is when people breathe through the mouth, it affects their jawline, and they become mouth breathers, and their intelligence.
Well, phrenology is the
shape of the brain,
the
personality.
size of the brain, affects
The shape of the skull.
intelligence.
Yeah.
And this is something that's supposedly debunked. But I've done some reading about it, and there are serious people who say, no, there is some correlation between having a big brain and being smarter.
Yeah,
Well, having a big brain and having a big skull, like you can look at somebody's skull and say that
I think so, yeah.
they have a big brain.
I'm not
The human
sure.
brain has actually gotten smaller, I believe, since
the Egyptian times.
since Cro-Magnon.
That's not to say that people with small brains can't be geniuses. It just means
No, but I
that,
think hasn't the
on
human brain
average
hasn't the human brain gotten smaller
human
since
brain-
since Cro-Magnon times?
since Cro-Magnon?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
So the size is one factor, but there's also other.
Yeah.
That is true. The human brain, since we started to become plant eaters during the
Lewis is bringing it back to plant.
Yeah,
Lewis
it
is
it is that well,
anti-plant.
you can look up the Egyptians who were major plant eaters, and they were the first peoples that had recognized heart disease. That wrote about heart disease because they ate grain and heart and
So Jordan Peterson thinks that this is too much. You know, I took a Ritalin. I'm so tired from the jet lag.
yeah.
When did you get back from Greece?
Yesterday, my band convinced me it's Ritalin or Adderall. Wanted to take this pill.
Is it prescription pill?
It's a prescription pill. Yeah.
But you don't have a prescription.
No. And
So should you be talking about this?
oh yeah, they're gonna lock me up. And it's pretty interesting feeling.
Well,
Yeah, you're on- but you're
I know
buzzing.
people that swear by Adderall. They say it really focuses them, until it doesn't. But at least initially, when they're not used to it, it
We used to snort that in college before tests to
Yeah.
study.
You want to know the truth about that? Is that and I have a very good friend in London who is the founder of $3 billion companies. Super successful man. His name is David Tabazel. Brilliant. And he was a psychologist, and he did research, I don't know whether he's at Harvard or MIT, where he tested all the different psychoactive drugs for which ones work. And he said of the 30 that he tested, Ritalin was the best one. It made you feel the best, but also with the least side effects.
All right.
Not that I'm recommending that on the air, because I don't take any drugs like that.
Lewis Schaffer. So if we
Wait, can I interrupt?
But I just
Dan.
yeah, go ahead. Because it always becomes like I want to talk about Lewis Schaffer, and it becomes Lewis Schaffer's opinion on drugs.
But
and
you
meat.
want to know something? That's living in the past. This is, I think, people are
But the
getting
yeah.
people are getting an idea of how mental Lewis Schaffer is from this conversation. But you are right. The brain has gotten smaller.
So Lewis Schaffer, your future is in England. I thought for sure that when your kids got older, and you were no longer duty bound to stay in England, and they seem to like America, by the way. Perhaps they would.
Well, one likes America very much, and the other one is a little bit like
The little one wants to live here forever, he said. He
How,
said
how old are they?
19 and 21.
Now, do they know about your pro-Trump sympathies and everything?
They know.
They don't like that, right? You would actually vote for Trump again?
Against Biden? I mean, that's not even Democrats would vote for Trump because most Democrats don't want Biden. I don't like Trump. I didn't like him when he lived here. I'm not a Trump person. I'm not a handgun person. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those.
I know
people.
I know that.
We're the same people, basically. Me, you, and Dan, and you know what I mean.
Don't lump me in with you guys.
Well, I am
but,
a middle class New York Jew from Great Neck, and I'm incredibly left wing orientation. This country needed Donald Trump. Do they need him now? No, it's time. We've got other choices that are available.
So when you say this country needed him, I mean, I would say that if he had made good on a lot of what he said, yes, we did need him, but he didn't make good on almost anything that he said.
I don't know if that's true.
That guy's a
Well, I mean, he didn't make good on a lot of what he said, and he also put the country through tremendous turmoil for 4 years. Now, to be fair, some of that was reacting to this Russia thing, which was,
A lie.
by all indications, was a lie. So, and I'll tell you this, sometimes I had something going on personally. I've made a comment like this before, but it's every so often I have something personal, like a personal thing I'm dealing with at work,
Yeah.
and where I think somebody's like treating me wrongly, very unfairly, taking advantage of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you something, it possesses me. And it makes it very, very hard for me to focus on anything else, to relax, to do my job well. And I do have some sympathy for the idea that Trump, being falsely accused all that time of being like an agent for Putin and having them trying to get him, like, this possessed him in a way which was human. Like, it's very difficult to give anything human to somebody you despise like Trump. But there was something to that. Like, I felt that way about Kavanaugh when they were accusing him of being a gang rapist. And it was just totally untrue, right? And the guy fucking flipped his lid and say, and say, aha, now he doesn't have the disposition to be. Oh, you try being called a gang rapist on television in front of the whole world.
But you can't win either way in those situations.
You know what? Though
People
these people are
will snap,
so disgusting.
But having said that, he put the country through. The January 6th thing was just crazy.
No,
I mean, these people are appalling. They're just horrible for so many reasons. Why did we need Trump? Wasn't there like some other person who actually deserved to be there, who wasn't just like a petulant child?
No, we needed a petulant child. We needed someone to go in and to say, we had.
This country is a disaster.
It isn't a disaster.
Yes, it is.
not a
You know what your son said
What did
to
he
me?
say?
He was absolutely apoplectic at the state of New York. He said, "I cannot believe."
Well, that's not Trump.
No, it's not.
Trump's
it's not.
New York's had 100 years of Democratic.
It's not.
Except for Giuliani.
New York's a mess too. The city's a shit show.
Right, so who said this? Carnegie or Columbus?
The younger one.
Columbus.
Listen, I just got back from Greece.
Yeah.
No.
I-
The tall one is the younger one.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I was talking to people in Greece. I said, how often do you work? They say, we work 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. How much money do you make? $800 a month. Now, certain costs of living are cheaper there, but a lot of items just have a world price. I mean, certain things cost what they cost in dollars, even when you make $800 a month. Americans have so little perspective on how fucking lucky we are in this country because we focus on emotional issues. The country, does have its problems, but the country is not horrible. It's just not.
The country
We're going through a bad
is
period.
in a very dark.
The country is very
place.
divided.
Country's very
Very
I've
divided.
lived in a lot of different places in this world, and so that's not lost on me. And I'm not taking those freedoms, and now with women, lack thereof, for granted.
Actually, I want to hear Lewis Schaffer's opinion on Roe v. Wade because that is something I've never discussed. I've discussed all this other shit with Lewis, meat eating, his blood pressure, how all the other things. I have never discussed abortion with Lewis Schaffer.
Well,
Never came.
I think it's pretty predictable.
Retrograde.
Well, what would you predict his opinion is?
He believes a fetus is alive at conception.
That doesn't mean what your opinion's going to be about abortion, though.
Well, let's find out. Drum roll, please.
Da-da.
What I think is, we have a system that's out there that the goal is to enable women. We got a divided mindset. On one hand, we want women to work because it helps our economy, and women getting pregnant is bad for working. On the other, I think so. We need women to be able to have abortions, to be able to stop working if they want to be able to continue to work. On the other hand, our population is going through the floor, literally going through the floor. This is not my opinion.
Our native population. I mean, our
world population.
Even with immigration, we're struggling to keep above
We're
2
struggling.
point.
Most of the countries in the world are below replacement
Worse than
values.
America,
Yeah, and China is eliminated abortion because they've come out and said we need more people. Okay,
Yeah.
so the
What you're
big
describing is fascist.
right. So it's
What you're saying is that I don't care whether it's alive or not. I think women shouldn't be allowed to have an abortion because we need the people.
yeah, that's what China is saying, and that's what this.
But that's not what Lewis Schaffer is saying.
But that's not what I'm saying.
So say what you're saying.
What I'm saying is I'd like the 200 pounds back that I spent on getting that girl to have an abortion back in 19.
You favor abortion?
And
I think in the current system that we have, I'm in favor of abortion.
Okay.
Okay, but do I think it's a horrible thing as a person who's had an abortion? Okay?
who's impregnated a woman who had an abortion.
Right, who was asked to pay for it, and every single day.
ANTE retrograde.
Yeah, yeah, beforehand.
Yeah.
When it was capable, but every single day, I think about that child. Okay, and as a man, and so I can understand how women, okay, are very. What's the word? Well, you're very conflicted about it. Okay,
Not Periel.
not Periel.
So
but
I tell that remember
Don't do that. Don't put words in.
you're
my
not
mouth
conflicted
like that.
about the right to abortion.
I'm not conflicted.
Well, there's a difference between
about
being conflicted about the right to an abortion and being conflicted when the time comes to make a decision for themselves to have an abortion.
I don't think she's conflicted. I don't mean that as an insult. Don't. But
But did I? Wait, can I just make myself clear on this subject? Because I haven't had a chance to think.
quick.
Quick.
Because that's all we think about here.
Yeah, I think what happened was right. That the states should have decided on this back in 1970, whenever it was
That's
done.
what Ruth Bader Ginsburg
Right,
said. Yeah.
right. The states, because it was like you've got 3 children, right? Okay,
And one I raised that's not my biological child.
okay,
4.
4. Okay, 2 children are fighting, and they're going to work it out. But you come in and you say, no, that truck belongs to Roger and not this, whatever it is. Okay, and suddenly, it's like the one who has the kid, the one who has the toy. They're happy. The one who doesn't have the toy is unhappy.
So
What is- I don't
I did a lot of
understand.
thinking about abortion. I
But
ran
that's the issue. The issue is
I ran this by Dershowitz, and then I ran on this show, and then I ran it by Neil Katyal. This is my theory that in the first 2 months, as I do more research about it, it becomes very difficult to see the pro-life movement as anything but religious. I think prior to heartbeat and brainwaves is the big one, and the feeling of pain.
Those who say that life begins on conception are 100% of those people are probably religious.
Almost 100%. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think
but see,
any.
you're looking at it.
So I actually think that the court. I don't think they argued this. I think the court could decide that the woman has a right to choose in the first 2 months
based on the establishment.
based on the establishment clause. And so I said this to Neil Katyal, and he was so taken with it. He wrote me an email.
Well, I tweeted that. By the way, I tweeted that.
He-
Before you think that you're the only one, I said, does everybody that believes that life begins upon conception do so for religious reasons? And if so, is there an establishment clause issue? Go ahead.
So good. So anyway, and he suggested that I write an op-ed.
Because Noam thinks he's the only one that has these thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I thought the whole thing through. There's an intermediate
The
scrutiny.
establishment clause, by the way, means that
Yeah.
the government has no right to establish a religion. So if everybody that supports abortion, I'd rather everybody that believes that life begins upon conception, abortion should be illegal
Yeah.
from the moment of conception, is doing so for religious reasons. Is that an establishment of
Yeah.
religion?
But I would say that once there is brain activity and the fetus can feel pain, I think you're right. I think it's something in a democracy that people have to decide as a democratic
But
process.
had the
Wow.
Supreme
Wow. What about
had the Supreme Court done what you're suggesting? And
I mean, I wish they hadn't overruled it. I don't like. I'll take the expediency, but if you had I mean, one thing we've noticed through this whole Roe versus Wade thing is that very few people have written articles defending Roe versus Wade. They essentially complain about the result.
So
Wait,
let me-
no, could I just ask you, if the Supreme Court had decided to go that route, the Supreme Court said in Roe v. Wade, up to 3 months, you'd have a right to an abortion. What date should they have chosen? Because you're still running into the same problem.
They should have chosen the best estimate of when brain activity and pain is felt.
Okay, and what about all of these mitigating factors that come into play, right? Because there are a lot of them. And for example,
Like what?
Rape, incest.
Periel,
the health- wait.
Well, I'm
no.
going to answer you.
Wait, but
First
I'm
of all-
not
first of all,
finished.
there's something
But I'm not finished.
Well, just take a pause there for a second, because there's something that always bothers me about this. We've talked many times about abortion. We talk about what about the 7th month, 8th month, and you always say to me, "There's so few abortions."
That's true.
Right? How much rape and incest abortions are there?
a lot, actually.
No, there's not a lot.
No. Actually, there are. And
Incest
in fact,
abortions?
And in fact, there was just a case very recently
10-year-old?
of the 10-year-old girl
Yeah,
who was
actually,
raped.
if you're right about that, they actually think it might not have happened. But there are.
What do you mean? No, I haven't
The
read
Washington Post did a fact check on that story. Nobody.
Well,
can
there were
verify it.
two stories. There was
But
one that there
I
was
will
the child abuse
I'm talking about the 10-year-old.
pediatrician.
But there are a certain number of abortions of people, young children. Of course there are. And there's a certain number of late-term abortions.
Okay,
it's a very
those-
tiny number.
Yes, that's right.
But what bugs me about you is that I'm fine discussing the tiny numbers. But if you're going to discuss the tiny numbers, then you also have to answer the question on tiny numbers on the other side, which you refuse to do.
No, I don't. I think that a woman should be in charge of making decisions about her own body. Full fucking stop.
Right, but that's not a legal argument.
Well, I'm not an attorney, so I'm comfortable with that.
When you have a fetus that feels pain, let's say we all stipulate it feels pain. To say that that as a legal matter, judges that in democracy we can't say, well, it feels pain, so we're going to make laws about this. I mean, that's your opinion. It's just not a legal argument. I mean, I get it. You can have that opinion, but I don't see how a Supreme Court justice.
I mean, given the fact that the Supreme Court justices who have overturned Roe v. Wade are like completely religious, I don't really think that's that reasonable, and that's the basis on which they overturned it.
You're not. We need to move on because this is nonsense.
Well, we're almost done now. But
Why
no,
is that
because it's not the
nonsense?
basis on which they overturned it.
Is that not true? Are they not religious?
I
Are
don't
they-
know if they're religious or not, but it's not the basis on which they overturned it.
Yeah, that is. They think that abortion is wrong.
Well, it probably
based-
and it might well have entered into their. It may not have been the reason that they stipulated in the opinion, but that doesn't mean it didn't influence them.
Of course, it did.
In other words, these people are pro-life.
We have no idea.
We
what-
don't
we
know,
do.
but we know that many pro-lifers are religious, and
Yes, we do. But the point is that the
Not most.
legal reasoning of like a Killamar and and these various liberal law professors have also. Everybody knows Roe versus Wade was a bullshit decision. You went to law school. It was almost uniformly considered a bullshit decision.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
never.
not
I
a-
don't think we discussed it back then, but it was a while ago.
I'm with Noam.
Plenty of non-religious people, plenty
Yeah.
of pro-life people have said Roe
Pro-choice,
versus
you mean
Wade.
pro-choice people.
Yeah.
Pro-choice people have said Roe versus Wade doesn't hold up. They literally made it up.
we need to get Dershowitz on here.
He agrees.
No, it's a political
He on our
issue.
show he said that Roe versus Wade wasn't right.
But he also
right?
said that precedent should take precedent.
He said what he said was that they could dial it back to the Mississippi law, which was 14 weeks, and he said and they should wait. There was no live case or controversy about that entitled them to overturn Roe versus Wade. That was his
And
opinion.
s-
but he
that's-
also feels
that's
the
a-
precedent should be respected.
And 6
No, he didn't
weeks
say
is
that.
outrageous.
He said he had-
6 weeks. I mean, that is
8
just
weeks. 8
no. 6 weeks. That the Ohio case. There were two little
No,
girls.
with Mississippi law, the Dobbs case was 14 weeks.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about in many states now. It's 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, let's see.
And I don't appreciate being called. I mean, don't dismiss what I'm saying as nonsense, especially when it's not.
Well,
Ariel,
he believes it to be nonsense.
It is
and-
not. I'll tell you what. Nonsense. I'm being.
But you
I'm
certainly have a
trying
right to
I'm trying to
defend-
rile you up, obviously, but
Well, it's working.
because if we're going to discuss Roe versus Wade, we're discussing the law. If you want to discuss what you think abortion policy should be, That's fine. You can say all those things.
Okay.
But judges have to be judged on whether or not their rationale holds up to a kind of scrutiny based on the Constitution. And that's an analysis which basically you ought to say, you know what? I don't fucking know whether Roe versus Wade was right or not. How do I know? I'm not a lawyer. I never read those decisions. That's what many people should say rather than saying Roe versus Wade was correct. They don't know whether it was correct or not. I could give you any decision of something you agree with. Oh, that's a correct decision. That's not the way it works.
That's not what I said, though. What I said is that the Supreme Court judges that overturned Roe v. Wade did so because they're Christian pro-lifers. They're pro-life.
How do you know? What's your evidence for
Because
that?
I've read about it. Hold on.
All right.
Anyway,
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Can I just
Well,
say
move on.
this?
We're almost.
Yeah.
I want to say this.
I have to go
Is
play.
that the at the end of the day,
This Ritalin is
this
getting me agitated.
This is not what we should be discussing. We should be discussing why we feel the need for women for one group of people to be given a clear path to work. Why is working so important, and who benefits from women working? And why is there a culture of women being independent and working
They
At
wanna work.
the expense. I know that. No, but it's not that they want to work.
No, they
It's
want to
that-
work.
Yes, they.
What are we, like cattle? What kind of a crazy point is this? I mean,
Because-
nobody talks about men like this.
Because nobody wants to work.
Well, no,
You have to
no.
work.
Two things. First of
Okay.
all, just so you know, if I would vote on an abortion policy in New York, I would be pro-choice. I mean, just to be very clear.
And you want to know something?
Pro-choice up to which month?
9, 10.
No, not 9 months.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Is that I'm with you.
Up
I would be
until-
I would be pro-choice too.
Up until
but
the fetus
who
feels pain.
benefits? Who benefits
Okay.
from an abortion policy? Who benefits from women working? The richest people. It doubles the workplace. It destroys family. It creates independence, and it's leading to the death of the humans on this planet. Not by abortion, but by people not having children. So
Well, you know,
is
what, Lewis does say something that I have to go, but that has come into my mind. Like, a lot of jobs are wonderful. Comedians have jobs. A lot of people have, not a lot. There's a certain percentage of jobs that people would do for free.
We almost and if you work at the Comedy Cellar, you pretty much are. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But most jobs are not like that.
yeah, they're horrible.
And most jobs people look forward to the weekend, and it has struck me as like pulled the wool over our eyes that so many women and men, by the way, but so many women feel that they're going to get more satisfaction out of life by doing these shitty jobs that are meaningless
Yeah.
than the natural, beautiful gratification of raising a family. Now, it's true, you can't stay home all day long. You go crazy. You may want to just get out of that. Maybe part of the reason to have a job is just to get out of the house. But in general, I do think of that. Like if I had to work the jobs that many people who work for me have to do, I would totally stay home and raise the kids.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. Like I would like to have to get up and go to work and you know, and do that. Like when you're younger, you wait tables. It's really your social life. It's not really the work. It's because you want to. But once you get older, and it's like what or working like there's a million jobs that people do. Like why would they want to do these jobs when they could be home with their beautiful kids?
And the
I don't
powers
get
that be, and the powers that be, whoever they are, without being a conspiracy theory.
Well,
theorist,
part of the reason is they want independence. They don't want to be dependent and feel dependent.
Finish your thought. The powers that be.
the powers that be are basically controlling. I believe, as a father with 2 children, that women are happier when they're taking care of children. I mean, yes, they want choice to go do other things, but having children is a beautiful thing. You can be happy without children, but what they're doing is nobody wants to kill children. Nobody wants to kill fetuses. Nobody wants to abort a baby. Okay? Nobody wants to abort whatever it is, whatever you want to call it.
I worry there's a lot of social pressure. Listen, you would think just naturally, evolutionarily, that you'd be right, that since women have the children, that they would be overpowered with the urge to raise them. When you see a dog that has puppies, you try to get anywhere near those puppies, the mother is
Yeah.
totally possessed with the fulfillment of raising those puppies, right? So women have these same instincts. So you would think naturally that would be the case. However, there's a lot of social pressures that countervail, and I worry, maybe make women feel. I don't know, Periel, if you experienced.
I mean,
this stuff.
it's just so beyond. It's like, first of all,
Listen, you're pursuing careers that you like. You're pursuing comedy and stuff like that. You're in the first category.
That
of what I
has
was talking
nothing
about.
to do with. First of all, women get abortions for all sorts of
No, we're talking about abortion now. What he's saying is that there's something kind of gone wrong in a society where so many women prefer work to raise.
But we are talking
You know
about
what
abortion because Lewis is implying that if our culture were different, there'd be less of a hue and a cry to have abortions.
But you know what
Right.
the thing is
okay.
that's
Can handle it.
so problematic here is that nobody has these conversations about men. Like, why can't women want to have children or not and also want to have a career?
I said
you
about men
that-
too, but,
yeah,
but the difference is that women have the children.
right.
So it's really so.
And so the onus, most of it usually, is on us
Yeah.
to do most of the work
right.
while you guys get to go out and
Well,
gallivant.
Remember, Camille Paglia said that
Yes.
nature is an oppressor. That's what she said. It's not men who are the oppressor. Nature is the oppressor.
And as we've discussed many times, I was never planning on having kids or any of those things. And my career really did.
Who has to go out and do the hand-to-hand combat to fight wars? Men. Is that oppression against men? Of
I
course
mean,
not.
probably.
Of course it's not, because only men can do that.
No, but I don't think that that's true.
Oh, come on. Don't be ridiculous now.
I'm not being ridiculous. Why is only men can do hand-to-hand combat?
The only reason men need to do that is because other men. So it's kind of like it's.
No, wars. As a matter of fact, I just saw that there were more wars in Great Britain when there were female heads of state than. War is part of the human. The Holocaust. I mean, whatever it is. When a Jewish man had to defend his family. The point is that there are things that men do that fall on men because of their size and strength. It's not
But many of
oppression.
those things are only because other men make them do it.
For whatever
No.
reason.
No,
But
because it's
anyway,
like
what-
with me, Dan, I took care of the kids, and did I get any respect for it? No. Because,
Listen, I would love to. I'd love to take care of my kids. I don't even want to work. I want to stay home with my kids.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have
we
kids, and I
can't-
don't want to work either.
But we can't do that.
I'd love to know what Nicole thinks about this, but I know
She's
that
sleeping.
she.
She's definitely not sleeping.
My sense is that Nicole is just shaking her head, and has been for the past 20 minutes.
This abortion
But
conversation.
I can't see her
we've
behind
had
me.
it before. People have to understand, as Akil Amar said on that Barry Weiss podcast. Everybody should listen to that interview. I've sent it to you like 6 times. I know you won't listen to it, Periel. But he said essentially.
I don't like you pick fights with me over email.
He said that he was responding specifically to Brett Stevens' column about abortion, but he's speaking generally too. He said that Brett Stevens is not burdened. He says not burdened with a legal education.
Yeah.
and it's true that when you've had a legal education, you understand that there's specific analysis that has to go on by the Supreme Court justices that they take an oath to do. And
Right, I don't think
that
they're
can lead to
doing that.
decisions which are really upsetting.
But I don't believe the Supreme Court I believe that they were hoping to, chomping at the bit to overturn Roe
Yeah.
from the get-go, and they were sort of legislating from the bench, as was the Supreme Court judges that enacted Roe. They were both legislating from the
I have
bench.
something to say about that. We got to go. So you're touching on an interesting issue, which is that when somebody has a stake in something, like they believe that life begins at conception, they're religious or whatever it is, that you can use that to attack their reasoning. This is I think a deeply flawed logic. The fact is that yes.
Well, I'd have to read the opinion and
Hold
see if
on.
their reasoning holds
Hold on,
up.
that's right. The fact is that yes, somebody's bias can lead them to whatever it is, but in the end, okay, Martin Luther King.
But no,
well, hold
here-
on. Martin Luther King cared deeply about his people, right? Martin Luther King was a black man. That is not an attack on Martin Luther King's arguments about civil rights.
But no, here's the difference. The Supreme Court had the option to just to believe that Roe was wrongly decided, but to decide to uphold precedent.
No, they can't do that.
Yeah, well, of course they do it all the time.
No, they can't.
Precedent has importance.
Well, they've been through this. What the stare decisis and what type of precedents are to be overturned. But when you're dealing with something as serious as murder, where you have majorities in states believe that murder is going on, and some states going to 6 months, 7 months. Supreme Court, if they agreed that this might be murder, they're going to say to themselves, "Listen, I'm not standing by." It's like Dred Scott. You can stand by Dred Scott. You can stand by Plessy versus Ferguson. That kind of.
But
that kind of
don't they
argument.
believe
the
it's-
reason people didn't stand by precedent on Dred Scott or stand by because people understood that this was too serious. If this decision is wrong, we don't stand on precedent on decisions that could be that serious. And they turned this issue over to democracy. That's what they did.
But don't they believe it's murder based on their religious beliefs?
No, they believe. I'm coming. They believe that. Well, they might personally believe that. It's,
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
But they believe, and I believe they're on strong ground, that the Constitution is silent on the issue of abortion.
And what about the issue of capital punishment? How come most of the people who don't believe in abortion are really proponents of capital punishment?
I don't know if that's true or
It
not.
is
but
true.
You don't know that that's true. But the reason it would be true is because there's no conflict between thinking that murderers should be executed and innocent lives should be saved. I don't even understand why.
I thought we were just against murder, quote unquote.
It's not murder when you kill a. That's not considered murder.
Well, given the
Murder is the unlawful taking of a life,
so
or the immoral taking of a life.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Noam has to go. Unfortunately, we do have to end because Noam has to play music. It is music night, as we have every Monday night. We're recording this on Monday. There's music at the Olive Tree Cafe. If you live in New York, please come by. We have music, and of course our menu, our Olive Tree menu, which features wonderful dishes from the Middle East as well as American bistro style fare.
Can I say something to you, Dave?
Yes.
I love you, and I've loved you since I met you.
Okay, thank you, Lewis
what I
Schaffer.
wanna say.
Unfortunately, I have no love to give. But rest assured, if I had any to give, I would come your way.
All right, I don't need that kind of love, but I take the love, and I want to say thank you to. I was going to say thank you to Noam. He had to run out.
You had to run out, but we thank Noam
I thank
Dworman,
Noam.
proprietor of the Comedy Cellar.
And I want to thank. Can I thank Periel too, I'm quite fond of.
Everybody likes
Brief time.
Periel, even if they disagree with her vehemently or
But
vehemently.
you know what? It's the passion that I like. I like the passion. I don't even think she's wrong. I think they're a bigger. This abortion thing is that they're a bigger. It's a bigger.
Okay, just to summarize Lewis' beliefs on abortion, he believes it's culture. We live in a culture where women are encouraged to work, and that's part of the reason why so many people are pro-choice. I don't know if that holds any water, but that seems to be what Lewis believes.
I think it's also that they don't want more children. They think there's enough children, and they don't need to raise children in any Western country. They're being raised for us. They just can import them fully formed from some other country.
Again, I don't know what Nicole is thinking, but my guess is she's thinking, who the hell is this guy? But I accept him warts and all. I always have. Again, thank you, Periel Aschenbrand, Noam's foil, and that's half the fun, I think. Lewis Schaffer.
How are you as a? It's. I mean, Noam is such a personality.
Yeah.
He's such a personality. I mean, it's like the battle with Noam over ideas, and he's just like his father in many, many ways.
Well, he's quite like his father.
He's quite like his father. He's very strong. Okay. Sorry for interrupting you, Dan, and I don't think I gave you paid enough attention to you during this show.
Rogel just texted me. He said, I haven't seen Lewis in years, and after 5 minutes, I had enough. In any case, Rogel is very, very, anybody that he even remotely has even the slightest whiff of being a Trump supporter, even if they're not, Rogel has no tolerance for that. Thank you, everybody. Podcast at comedycellar.com. Comments and suggestions and constructive criticism are welcome. Or just say hello. Once again, we thank our magician of audio from the great city of Binghamton, New York, home of the Binghamton Chickpeas. I don't know, what's your local team there?
Well, it was the B-Sens. That was our hockey team.
B-Sens.
And B-Mets. Now they're the Rumble Ponies.
Home of the Rumble Ponies.
That's amazing, Nicole.
Also, Rod Serling, I believe, grew up there from The Twilight Zone. I'm not
What
sure.
river is it on, Dan Naturman?
The Binghamton?
No, the Susquehanna. Am I right?
Yes.
Lewis Schaffer knows everything. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time on Live from the Table.